Okay, my talk won't be so funny and cool as the previous one, I'm afraid, but it's kind of a background talk about network devices and attacks on network devices, on the small network devices like small home routers and ADSL modems and so on. So who am I? I'm working for Kaspersky Lab as a malware researcher, and I'm interested mostly in reverse engineering, and I do reverse engineering certain APTs. And one of my research fields is, or maybe more was in the past, was threats for network devices. I did an analysis of the threat landscape for network devices in 2011. I think it was, well, first summary analysis of these kind of threats that I came across. This article is published on SecureList, so you can Google it and read it if you want. Why these kind of devices are being attacked? Well, some of the answers are pretty much self-explanatory. So yeah, there are a lot of possibilities for cyber criminals to exploit those devices and do the malicious actions to I don't know, earn some money on exploring those devices from the malicious side. First, what I described in my article was the vulnerabilities that can be found in those devices, like SNMP, for example, vulnerabilities which allows to perform some SNMP injection to, I don't know, for example, redirect users to a malicious website. Well, the vulnerability about SNMP is pretty ridiculous, I would say, because most of the time it's just that the default passwords, the default public and private password strings are set to, are set to the default values. So it's like a backdoor for an attacker, while the most of the users don't even know that something like SNMP is running on their home routers. Similar thing is with UPnP, which is also a very widely used protocol on home devices. There are also a lot of vulnerabilities that allow attackers to exploit it and access the device. And most widely used attack method is so-called drive-by farming or Soho farming, like it was called a couple of years ago. This kind of attack was presented first in 2006 as a proof of concept, but very fast it was adapted by cyber criminals to do large-scale attacks. And large-scale, I mean like millions of users affected by this kind of attacks. First, it started in Brazil and Mexico, but now, as I will show later, we have also a lot of cases in Europe and US and in Asia and actually everywhere. It's based on the simple CSRF attack, which just substitutes the URL with the other IP address, and that's why people are getting redirected to the fraudulent or phishing websites. Also, we have some tools like all the good Linux tools that are used to perform mass DDoS attacks. Those tools are adapted to run on routers. And from open source tools, there also was created some binary malware, which is obviously closed sourced, like Tsunami or like Hydro. First, botnets running on router. Well, the first one which was discovered was psybot. It was in 2009. Sorry. And what was interesting about it, when the botnet was discovered and the information was went public about it, the creators of this botnet sent a message to researchers on the IRC channel, because it was an IRC bot, that this botnet was a research botnet, and it reached 80,000 of infected devices, which was a pretty big number for this time, for 2009, because now we have like 10 times this. What was also interesting, it was like the malware was deployed in the binary form on the router, and the binary was kind of obfuscated. There were some simple anti-reversing tricks like missing UPX headers or some simple encryption of most sensitive strings. Then after this botnet, 1 year ago, or not even 1 year ago, a similar botnet was created by other binary, which was a little bit based on psybot, but not 100%. There were some new things. This botnet was dubbed track norris because of strings inside the binary. Also, it used, as you can see above, it used authentication bypass vulnerability. It was affecting D-Link and Linksys routers. For the 2011, it was pretty much it. So our predictions we made in 2011 were that obviously more attacks will come that will target the Soho devices, because obviously it was a good business for cyber criminals. More vulnerabilities will be found in the firmware of such devices, which is also obvious. And we predicted that if mips were targeted, why not ARM? Because ARM is the second most popular platform amongst Soho devices. Also, permanent modifications of firmware, because all the malware that were running up to 2011 was just was staying in the memory, and every reset, every reboot of the router was deleting it. But if the network was already affected, the worms, the bots were reinfecting the routers all over again, and up until the firmware was patched. We also predicted a cross-platform malware, which could, in terms that the Windows malware, for example, will use routers for some other purpose, or vice versa, the router malware will also use Windows or Linux machines, like x86 machines. Stepping forward to the 2014, let's see which of our predictions came true. Where we predicted that there will be more vulnerabilities found in the firmware. Well, obviously there are a lot of vulnerabilities, but what is more scary is that there are also backdoors, hard-coded backdoors in the firmware that were discovered like over last 6-7 months. One of them is the so-called Joel backdoor, which allows, which is a backdoor in the web interface, and it allows to connect to the web interface without any authentication. If the user agent string of the browser is set to this string, I don't know if it's visible. And reading it from the right to the left is added by 04882 Joel backdoor, so that's why this backdoor is dubbed Joel backdoor. So probably some developer used this method maybe to debug, maybe to, I don't know, maybe it was used in for the legit purpose, like simplify things or something like that, but as we can see, it's not a very smart method. Another backdoor was discovered by a researcher of a name Eloy, and there was some funny stories about it all over the internet, but what wasn't really funny about that, well, it's a really scary issue that most of the people right now in their homes, they are not even, they can't even think that there is something wrong with the routers because they don't have skills and knowledge about technical stuff at all. Yet the routers are running the backdoors, so if the attacker knows the backdoor, it's just like open door. So about the drive-by farming or Soho farming, this year we had quite a lot large-scale issues. One of them was discovered by CERT Poland, and it was an attack against Polish banks. So there was a DNS redirection. Users were redirected to the phishing websites of the banks. A lot of credentials were stolen, a lot of money was stolen, and a lot of users were affected. A couple of months later, couple of days actually, the team Cymru released a report about a similar attack, but concerning users in different parts of the world, mostly in India and Vietnam, and also in Italy. And they reported that they had 300,000 devices, that they discovered that more than 300,000 devices were affected. And a couple of days ago, also there was a report published about Soho farming in Brazil, mostly in Brazil, but also in US, also in China. So we can say that most of the part of the world were lately, during this year, somehow affected by this kind of attack. The last attack wasn't very sophisticated because it was just like trying to use the default passwords to get authorized to change the DNS settings. But we can surely expect more sophisticated attacks in the future. So, what about different architectures? For now, ARM is not the only architecture that is targeted. There was a worm discovered in February 2013, I think, or January, something like that. Which was the compiled version of this worm were discovered for different architecture, like ARM, PPC, MIPS or MIPSO, and also x86. And this is the first so-called Internet of Things worm that tries to infect any device that it can find on his way. And what was it doing? It was able to run some commands from CNC to execute shell commands with root privileges. And what turned out that one of the plugin it downloaded and executed was Bitcoin miner. Actually, not Bitcoin. It was Dogecoin and the other one, Minecoin. About the persistency, we saw also one attempt of a malware that was designed for routers to gain a persistency. Unfortunately, I wasn't conducting this research, so I just contacted the researchers, Darren and Ronald, and they provided with some scripts that I could analyze, but it was just based on simple Linux scripts. It used some vulnerability, which I am not aware which one of those vulnerabilities was that, but they are so numerous that probably attackers didn't have a problem to choose the right one. And this one was downloading the customized image of the firmware, and then overwriting this image and rebooting the routers, so the changes it made were persistent. Also, there was a worm called the Moon, also discovered this year. And by fancy here, I mean more funny than sophisticated, because, well, it performed similar actions to the previous ones, but what was interesting about it, that it used the theme from the movie The Moon as a, I don't know, inspiration for the messages sent between CNC server and the victim, also the images. And this one used the HANAP protocol to get some basic information about the device. Yeah. This one is actually quite interesting because it's a Black Energy. Black Energy botnet is a Russian botnet that was discovered in 2008, and it was mainly a botnet that was performing DDoS attacks. But later, in 2010, the second version of this botnet was discovered that was able to download plugins. So the main infector dropped the executor file, which connected, which mine functionality was to connect to CNC and download additional modules. So this bot could do much more than only DDoS attacks. And by monitoring the CNC and the modules sent between CNC and the victims, we discovered a lot of different modules. For example, a spamming module, the module that was sending spam messages, the banker module, the info stealer, stealing different kind of information from hosts, and the spyware. But that was only for Windows back then. And yet this year we discovered something strange in the network traffic between CNC and victim. The strange thing was that CNC was pushing to the victim the ELF file. The ELF file which was compiled for ARM architecture. And it turned out that it was a module designed for small household routers, which additionally performed some DDoS attacks. So not only the PCs were in the interest of cyber criminals, but also the small network devices. And is that all? Well, unfortunately, it's not all. We are currently working on other investigation, which can't be disclosed yet. But the numbers are growing, and everything is starting to look more and more professional. So what is scary is that most of our predictions, which we made like 3 years ago, came true already in 3 years, which is, I think, not a lot of time. And what is even more scary is that, okay, we had more coverage in the media, we have vendors that are concerned about the security a little bit more than they were 3 years ago, the ISPs that are asking us to help them to secure their infrastructure or ask us for their advice. But still, we don't have any universal solution that would work against such kind of attacks. And well, as previous speakers mentioned already, there is nothing ever changes for the older devices, because even if there are some firmware updates, usually people, non-technical people, don't care about it and don't install it. So what we can do is just, well, keep doing what we are doing. I mean, finding the vulnerabilities, looking for new surfaces of attacks, but obviously not to harm anyone, just to raise the awareness of hardware vendors, and well, yeah, that's what we have to do. So
Thank you.
good. Well,